Good evening and welcome to the Speedway Tavern, the first independent speedway show broadcast by the fans for the fans since 2009, would you believe? Still the only fully interactive and live speedway show. Now, it's a funny old game, this Speedway. I recently had the opportunity to take someone to Speedway for the very first time last Wednesday to see Birmingham get its first home win of the season. Let's have some applause then! Goodness me. She enjoyed it. She enjoyed it more than she was expecting to be honest. In fact, she didn't want to tell me that she enjoyed it, but we got it out of her in the end. She really enjoyed it. And it was really nice to see the sport through a newcomer's eyes and enjoy the simplicity of the sport. These four guys riding round for 4 laps. A simplicity that becomes lost all too frequently as we become mired in rules and regulations. For instance, let's take a look at the Artem Laguta situation. How, and answers on the postcard please, how do you explain to a new supporter how a rider has food poisoning after riding abroad for his other team and is precluded from riding for your team for 7 days, even though he has a doctor's note, and it doesn't matter anyway as that team doesn't have a real answer is you don't try to tell them, just let them enjoy the simplicity and they might come back. Only in Speedway. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we all doing?
We're fine, yep.
Yeah, we should say we did have a guest lined up tonight, but for one reason or another the guest wasn't able to come. It was just circumstances, but that we hopefully will be here for us next week. I'm not going to tell you who. So there you go.
You've told me.
I've told you, yes. Yeah, you're excited, aren't you?
Not really.
No, okay.
No, it would have been a good one, but we'll leave everybody hanging, waiting for next week. So.
Yep. So how is everybody?
Good.
Yeah, we're good. Yep.
All good.
You watched a very, very scintillating match yesterday.
Oh yeah, I'd certainly pay money to watch that again.
What was the score?
65-25.
65-25.
It was. I mean, Kings Lynn were dreadful. That's probably stating the obvious, but they really were poor. It wasn't. I think with a lot of their riders, it wasn't just the lack of scoring. I felt there was a lack of effort from quite a few of their riders. The only ones that really came out with that meeting with any credit was probably Simon Lambert, who really battled hard. He was a good battler in the championship as well. I mean, Nick Morris obviously guested for Michael Pontoft. I mean, he's top scored with 9 points, I think it was. I don't think he was particularly impressive. And probably to a lesser extent Thomas Jorgensen rode well as well, but the rest of them, it just again looked like there were too many heads dropping, and obviously with the situation with Artem Laguta as well, lots of speculation, spreading around the Monmouth terraces last night. There was a few people saying that heard that he'd signed a deal that meant that he didn't have to race at certain tracks, which. There's more than one person who's told me that. I sincerely hope that isn't true. I mean, I know no evidence to say whether it is or not, but if that is true, then why have the BSBL signed that off as a deal to allow riders to only ride on certain tracks?
I can't see that. It seems unlikely.
The only sort of thing that was similar to that was it 84 when Ivan Major only rode home meetings for Exeter? Like that.
Yeah, I do remember something about that.
He got away with that one. Yeah, I mean there was a couple of good races towards the end, but it was just 5-1 after 5-1 after 5-1, and Kings Lynn just weren't competitive at all. It was really disappointing. I don't think there were any Kings Lynn fans there. I think they obviously saw the TV show and thought, well, I'm not paying for petrol to go all the way over to Wolverhampton to watch what's going to be a thrashing, and it really was a thrashing. Wolves could easily have hit 70 points last night. I've never seen us hit 70 points before. I thought I was going to be right off doing that last night, but Kings Lynn got a 5-1 in the last stage.
Did they get one, or was they given one?
There was a good battle in that race, to be fair, but it was probably scant consolation really for Kings Lynn. And of course, we've now got the statement that's been released by the Speedway Control Bureau. I'm going to read it out to you. Following the withdrawal of Artem Laguta from the Kings Lynn team at the Wolverhampton Premiership fixture on Monday the 26th of June, the Speedway Control Bureau have made the following statement. The SCB were informed on the morning of the 26th of June that Artem Laguta would not be able to attend the fixture due to falling ill after competing for his Polish team Wrocław on Sunday the 25th of June. I've never seen it. I heard myself back then. That's not a very nice thing. Subsequently,
now you know how the rest of us feel.
Subsequently, the SCB received medical documentation at 1:30 confirming that Mr. Laguta had suffered from food poisoning and was unable to travel to the UK and advised to rest for a period of at least 2 days. Due to missing this fixture through a non-speedway injury sickness as per SCB regulation 0.5H, Mr. Laguta's SCB registration will now be suspended for a period of 7 days. And Kings Lynn don't have a match for over 7 days. So, what's the...
Yeah, what is the point? And I've not heard of that. Right? I mean, if the guy's got a sick note, he's punished for being ill. That's strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's more going on here than...
Well, I think to a degree, Wolves probably called Kings Lynn out a little bit because there was all sorts of speculation that he was going to miss the meeting. I mean, Chris Harris's name was in the programme as a guest. And it was in the Wolves statement on Wolves preview that was released on Sunday.
Yeah.
That Chris Harris was riding. So what a mess. Really, I don't know what Kings Lynn are doing at the moment. As I say, I've just been doing some mathematics, and Kings Lynn have used 25 riders since the sport resumed in 2021.
I don't know what's more impressive there, the fact that they've used 25 riders, or that you can count up to 25. But
it took some working out. Yeah. Next highest, incidentally, is Ipswich with 18.
Wow.
Sheffield 17, Bellevue 15, Peterborough 15, Wolves 11.
Been working hard.
I have, yeah.
Okay, well done.
So to go and sit down for a bit.
Somebody on this show actually does some research.
Well, we know it's not you. Yeah. So, we've got a few people on the shout box. Shall we give them a hello and catch up with what some of them have said?
No, I don't actually like them all.
Okay.
Hello, Simon, Dave, Dennis, Jeff. Yes, apologies at the beginning.
Did we lose my monologue? I've spent.
Do you want me to break?
I spent whole minutes.
How do you want me to break it to you? Can I just say that the experiment that you said we should do?
No, that I said we shouldn't do.
Right, it didn't work.
Didn't work.
Oh well. Good monologue, though.
It wasn't. Yeah, I mean.
I think it's brilliant. You can do it again if you want, right?
No.
Oh, good.
It'll be on the podcast.
Okay. Yeah, Jeff, Dave Twine and Rich says hello.
Shall we get into some of the comments
Did the guest have food poisoning and have a sick note, says Jeff Daniels.
Did the guest have food poisoning and have a sick note? Today's guest.
Yeah. Are we going to talk about Laguta or the Dyer Grand Prix?
It wasn't Artem Laguta, by the way, before. We're going to talk about both of those things, I think.
Okay. Kings and Riders said their bikes were too powerful for the track.
Well, I'm gonna let you come back with that one.
Most of those Kings and Riders have ridden at Monmouth Green before, so
that's ridiculous because you could. They're all experienced riders. They retired the ignition.
I will say there did seem to be a slight problem on the first bend in the first couple of races, but that didn't seem to affect the Wolves riders. To be fair, but
good meeting at Peterborough last night. Tarasenko, impressive in his home debut. He beat Bewley twice. Lidsley impressive for aces, says Paul Kavanagh.
He might have a good little rider there.
Yeah, it might do. Yeah.
I didn't see what the result was, to be honest, but it's
38.52, I think it was.
So they still didn't win.
Still didn't win now, but I mean they'll be here. Obviously coming to Monmouth Green in a few weeks anyway. So next week. So.
It's going to be one of them nights.
Yeah, it is. And go on, I'll let you read that one.
Laguta posted himself jogging today, presumably to the toilet.
That was deserves a round of applause. That one. Simon Corbett, they must think we're bloody stupid. Well,
what is the point of a 7-day ban when that team is not racing for over 7 days? You know.
You should think yourself lucky. We have to watch the Stars every week.
Well, I do feel you're paying coming from Birmingham because we've had not a lot to shout about this season.
Rather alarming statement from Buster Chapman after he took control of Kings Lynn again is to say that the team's over budget, which sort of Paul's pours more fuel to the fire that he wants to get rid of Artem and Laguta, because certainly he won't have come cheap.
No.
I think that was a real gamble from Kingston, I think, getting Laguta in, because they obviously hoped that getting him in would sort of put big numbers on the crowds, and by all accounts they haven't.
This must be aimed at Matt, because it can't be anybody else. Who was the one who can't count and got the week wrong on the prediction league?
We all make mistakes. Yeah.
Yes, you do.
I know. I made one coming here tonight, I think.
Yeah. Graham Oldfield says he fears for Kings Lynn owner Keith Chapman wants to offload the club over budget and poor crowds. Richie Worrell and NK Iverson are poor, says Paul Kavanagh. And yeah, I heard something about this. Apparently, you saw the Grand Prix. I only managed to catch the highlights, unfortunately. Apparently, Ty Woffington said something that people are reading as him possibly coming back to British Speedway next year.
I don't know whether he's basing that on the concerns that he might not be in the GP next season.
Maybe.
At the moment, at
the moment, he got.
I mean, at the moment, he's outside the top six. And
he modelled his way into a semi-final, didn't he? This, which I guess
and
is
you've
something.
got Bewley and of course you've got Bewley and Lambert both ahead of him fairly comfortably as well in the standing. So, with two British riders in a great chance of being in the series next year, they're going to put a third one in. Ty hasn't won a Grand Prix now since 2018, so it's
where would he ride?
Well.
That's the yeah.
Well,
exactly,
I would say
yeah.
hopefully he's riding for us, because that means we'll be running next season. So,
Rich Thomas says Buck gone by July.
Quite possible. That's the way things are going. So,
keep passing the buck, Rich. Wendy Wolf says Ty will not qualify. He's winding down to packing up.
He just seems to have lost a lot of his edge, doesn't he? I mean, he made a big song and dance during the winter about how he was really going to be ready for this season, but it hasn't happened. No, there's been little glimpses now and again, but really just not anywhere near.
The consistency's gone, and the fire has gone. It's in his racing, the fire's gone. If Laguta and Emil get picks, I fear Ty won't be in the GP next season, which is what we alluded to last week, wasn't it? So we'll probably ride in the UK. He will probably end up at Wolves if they're still riding next season, or Bellevue. Rich Thomas says if Wolves and Peterborough go, where's Ruffy going to ride? Well, probably Bellevue is probably the pace. What about Zach Cook's 15-point maximum?
Yeah, superb performance. Been trying to think. A lot of people have been trying to think. Has there been a 15-point maximum from a reserve rider at Wolves? Certainly not one I can remember.
Okay, well that's we'll find out. I'm sure somebody will know. Okay, I think we've caught up a little bit, although we haven't looked at YouTube yet.
I've just looked.
Okay.
He's still asleep on YouTube.
So, better match last Wednesday.
Yeah, very good mate.
Berwick against Birmingham, and we finally first two heats, 5-1 and a 4-2. I think the whole stadium went quiet, and everybody was going, "Oh, here we go again! Please, no, this is even worse." It felt like that. But a great night, I think, from Seji. Morris also, after his poor first ride, he was on it from then on.
Yeah.
Great meeting, some good racing, I thought, and the right result.
And a huge
from
win.
my point of
huge win for Birmingham. Yeah, they needed to win that meeting. Bearing in mind what's coming up in the next two home fixtures, and I think that'll just give everybody a bit of a lift. Honestly, really. It was a good.
It's a shame we couldn't complete the meeting at Edinburgh and have a good look on a. I mean, if the ad competed the meeting, it wouldn't have meant anything on that track because it was a bit of a lottery, I feel.
Well, I think all the riders probably felt with a new manager as well that they're all on trial, and I don't think they're going to be frightened of making further changes over the next next few weeks. I think, as I said last week, though, the most important thing for Birmingham between now and the end of the season, yes, of course, they want to make the playoffs. Every team does, but they need to make sure that they're winning all their home matches. They can't, I would say about 85% of fans only see home matches. They don't go to away matches now. So they're going to, they expect to see their team.
Home matches are difficult to go to. They're far away. They're in midweek and so on. That's not easy to get to home. I mean, I took away matches, I should say. I haven't been to one myself this year.
Yeah.
Didn't go to one at all last year, which is the first year for I don't know how long that I haven't been. So there you go. Craig Smith says, I was impressed at the meeting on BSN. At Perry Bar, crowd didn't look particularly great on TV. Is it only the home straight where you can stand at every bar, at Perry Bar, I should say? I think, like Monmore, yes, it is.
Yep.
Pretty much. Obviously, we have the bar as well, which is usually quite well.
Yeah, the
populated.
bar was fairly well patronised. To be fair, there was quite a few people in there. I would say the crowd was up. Probably whether it was up by enough to sort of be enough to make
hopefully.
it
I mean, I think it'll be up against Poole because Poole will bring.
Yeah,
a crowd down. They always do.
Mm-hmm. Glasgow generally bring quite a few down as well, don't they?
Yes, they do actually.
They travel away, so.
And of course, people are bringing support away because I think they're going to beat us as well. That always helps from that point of view, I guess.
Well, I think, of course, obviously with the Poole meeting with Steve Worrell and Zach Cook riding, there might be a possibility of some Wolves fans making the trip over to Perry Bar as well.
And I am impressed with Zach Cook. Very much so. So, I mean, I just want to go through the 1 to 7 for Birmingham. Nick Morris, much better.
After his poor first ride, which seems to be a bit of a custom now. So.
Yeah. But he didn't have very often has a poor second ride as well, and sometimes even a poor third ride. But he was definitely on the speed after that.
Oh, yeah.
Alfie Botel, also somebody who had a slow first ride. I think the first ride, they both got outgated and there was a lot of There was a lot of water on the track, and they just got filled in. Is what I think happened.
Yeah.
But Alfie Botel,
unbeaten after his first ride.
Yeah. Yep. Very good.
I would say I don't think there's any doubt he's been Birmingham's best rider this season by a long shot. So.
At 3 we had
Troy Batchelor.
Well, that was quite a revelation. He got us going, didn't he?
Yeah.
When he came out and just stormed into the lead.
Mm-hmm. Didn't look as impressive when he missed the gate, did he?
No, but as long as he makes the gate, I don't mind.
I mean, he'll add that little bit. He'll add that bit of fire that's needed in the middle order of the team, without a shadow of a doubt. So,
Dan Thomas.
You mean Dan Thompson?
Dan Thompson. Yeah, I will get these names wrong.
We don't claim to be professional.
No, I will get these names wrong all night long. Don't worry about that. Possibly not his best.
Not his best. Obviously, paid winning his first heat, and then 2 lasts, and then obviously finishing the night off with a second place. So
5 points, I guess, is not bad. It's on his average thereabouts, isn't it? We have Justin Sedgman.
A lot better.
God, he was great,
better, yeah.
and some passing from behind from Sedgy, which people say he can't do. Well, he can.
Yeah.
That was it was his best meeting at home anyway, and he got his first home win. So great.
Yeah.
Joe Thompson.
Sam Hagan obviously was number 6. Remember? So
yes, they switched them around.
Looked on the pace, didn't he? To be fair,
he looked on
just
the pace.
not knowing the track. Obviously, I don't think he's ridden a Perry Bar before, has he? So
Sam Hagan, I don't believe so.
No.
And he wasn't quick out the gate.
No.
And I think that never helps, does it?
No,
never
it
helps.
Doesn't. But I think that I saw enough there to be, cautiously optimistic about.
Of course, he's replaced. We have to say this, James Pearson, who went and got 6 points at Plymouth the other night. So, I mean, well done, James. It's the first thing to say. I think he may well come back and haunt us. And I do hope we get a chance to see him ride for us again.
Well, I mean, he's been a victim really of the points limit, isn't he? So,
absolutely.
Unfortunately.
And Joe Thompson.
4 points from 5 rides.
Which is sort of there or thereabouts, I guess.
4 points from the 2 reserves at the home meeting. He's not going to win many matches, is he? I mean,
no, because and Berry crucially haven't got the strongest reserves. But so that is a bit of a worry. Joe
Yeah.
Thompson, of course, has now got a broken collarbone.
Yeah,
Do they replace him? I think they have to, don't they?
yeah, have to, I think.
Otherwise,
I don't know.
Otherwise, you're ending up with a guest of a National League rider, and that you've basically got 2 National Development League riders at reserve there. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
I have to say, in last week's match, I mean, Berwick obviously were on the wrong end of the result, but I mean, they did certainly contribute to a very good meeting. Very, very strong opening pairing in Rory Schlein and Thomas Jorgensen. Obviously got 2 5-1s between them in the first.
You thought they were going to be unbeatable after the first 2 sort of heats that they raced in. And Thomas Jorgensen in particular, I thought, was quite impressive.
Yeah, he's always impressed me whenever he's riding at Perry Bar, though.
So,
But, just lack of numbers, really. I mean, Leon Flint was really disappointing, only picking up 6 points on
There was
the
a
track
bit.
after winning his first race.
by a long way as well.
Yeah.
The times were quite quick as well, weren't they? Which was test to the track, which
down
looked
there,
good.
58s, 59s, 60, 60.4, in the last heat, 60.62. That's slightly faster than you would normally expect for the last day, wouldn't you? So
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I think we've talked about Birmingham a little bit now, so
Yeah.
we'll probably also move on before we bore everybody that doesn't talk with a Brummie accent. John Bird, what do we think to the pairs meeting on Thursday at Leicester with teams not fielding their strongest rider lineup? No Emile or Laguta due to not in their contracts to race only league meetings.
It doesn't really surprise me that Emil Soferdnot's riding it. I'm maybe slightly more surprised that Doyle isn't riding in it, though, because Doyle rode in the pairs meetings last season. It's probably good for everybody else because I think Doyle and Soferdnot riding in that competition would probably clean up, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I
to be
think
fair,
they
but-
would. I think they
So
would.
it sort of happens in the house a little bit, but I think a lot of people who would have gone there expecting to see some of the big names will maybe will be a little bit.
I think it's disappointing. I think it should.
It's worth pointing out, of course, it wasn't a meeting that was originally in the calendar because it was, of course, going to be staged over 3-4 legs, and of course they decided to change it after the season started. So, if there was a Polish meeting arranged before that, then that would get
Priority, yeah.
So,
And I think Poland race on Thursdays.
Yeah,
don't
they do,
So that's possibly what's going on there a little bit. Anthony Bailey says Joe Thompson out injured now for Birmingham. Any update on the injury? As far as I'm aware, it's a broken collarbone.
yeah.
That usually take about 6 weeks, don't they?
Yeah,
That
it's
sort
such a
of
common
time.
injury for Speedway riders, though, isn't it? So,
Yeah, it is. And perhaps that meeting shouldn't have gone ahead right from the start, really.
yeah.
But, we all love hindsight. Wendy Wolf, what's the latest on Laguta and his injury that only affects UK riding? The spectators were so pleased to have him at Lynn, but no doubt he's not affordable. Does anyone from these forums lobby the BSPA about what's happening to improve the sport in the UK and halt the decline? Wow, there's a lot to pick up in that one.
Yep.
Yeah. So we don't know what the latest is on his injury, but he definitely had an injury. We all saw it happen.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing to say. Whether is he affordable or is he not? We don't. I mean, you would guess that he'd be expensive, but you don't know.
He won't have come cheap. That's for certain.
You don't know though, because he might be looking at getting back on the international stage.
Then again, it might not be massive fee, but it's whether it's affordable to Kings Lynn.
Yeah, well,
So
absolutely.
looking at the size of. I mean, I watched his debut, which was against Sheffield, and everybody was making a big song and dance about, well, how many numbers it's going to add onto the crowd. Well, it didn't seem to add many.
Does anyone from these forums lobby the BSPA about what's happening to improve the sport in the UK and halt the decline?
I think we've been doing that for about 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, I have on occasion, for one reason or another, not for a very long time, but I have sent to emails and so on to the BSPL, or the BSPA as it was. I've never got a reply back, not even a thank you for your, we've received your email or whatever. Never had. I have sent letters as well, never had a reply back. It's just a vacuum. Now, I think part of that is because they don't have a lot of staff there, and part of that is because they don't want to answer the questions, I'm guessing. But we now have Phil Morris,
Yeah.
as the CEO, who's supposed to be looking at all of these things, has been very quiet.
Well, I did say at the start of the season, I think you'll probably see more from him after this year when he's had a chance to look at a lot of things of what is happening and what's not happening.
I would put a caveat on that if the BSPL allow him to. Because if he comes in and says, oh, well, this needs to change, this needs to change, and this needs to change, and 2 or 3 promoters think, well, that's going to directly harm my business, whether it does or whether it doesn't, if they have that perception that it is.
I think this was your worry at the start of the season. Was it? Is he going to be allowed to do the job? So?
Exactly, because we've had similar things before.
Yeah.
And the BSBI, let's be honest, have a history of trying ideas that we think are good, and then they don't quite get the application of it right. And instead of going, well, we didn't get that right, but it's still a good idea, so we'll change that. They've gone, oh, that was rubbish, and get rid of it. So it does worry me. Who do you think gets into the Team GB team for World Cup?
It's not far away, is it? It's about...
Question. That's a very good question, to which I'm now going to answer this question for you. Does Ty Woffington get a pick?
I would pick him at the moment, yes.
Okay. Because?
Well, for his experience, I think I would pick him for.
By the same token, people were picking Chris Harris for his experience for a long time.
Ty Woffington is still... I know Ty's not having a great season, but he's riding at a higher level than Bomber is. That's not.
No, but I'm not saying Bomber now. But there was a period when Bomber was on his decline, shall we say, in the same way that Ty appears to be.
Yeah.
Probably come back next week and bite us in the arm and win the GP. I hope so.
Yeah.
But there was that period when Bomber was getting picked for his experience because he was the only one we got at that point, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is there a case for?
I think Robert Lambert and Dan Bewley I think they're shoo-ins. I would think Tom Brennan would be as well.
Okay.
Ty, obviously that would be 4. Who would get the 5th pick?
That's a good question.
Steve Worrell.
Somebody on here has said Steve Worrell.
If it was a Monmouth, if there was a meeting at Monmouth, you'd 100% pick him because he's. I would say at the moment he's our best rider. It's amazing when you think he's having such a good season for Wolves, and he doesn't seem to be doing quite as well for Poole. Whereas it's the opposite with Sam Masters. He's in great form for Oxford, but he just doesn't seem quite at it at the moment for Wolves. I mean, obviously better night last night, but I don't think he could have not had a better night really with given who we were racing against. But I'm waiting for somebody to talk about Scott Nichols as a pick.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, there's experience for you. Yeah. He's certainly riding well at the moment. I can't think of anybody else.
Eurosport might have something to say about that because they'll lose a pundit, won't they?
Yeah. I mean, I can't think.
Well, the World Cup's in a couple of weeks, isn't it? So, and I think, how long is it going to be before the? Have they announced the squad yet? I don't think they have.
Don't think they have.
I know they've announced the schedule, but not the squad. So,
interesting answers on a postcard.
Yeah. Obviously, we will be doing a full.
Your question
we'll be doing a full preview of the World Cup, obviously in due course, anyway. So,
away at Cradley, 1972, Wolves number 7, Tom Ledbetter, 3-3-3-3-3.
Nice that it was at Cradley as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely.
I've got it in my mind that Charles Ermolenko got a full maximum at reserve in his first season in '91 as well, which ironically was against Kings Lynn, although it was a better Kings Lynn team than the one that turned up last night. Arthur
Browning, riding for Birmingham at reserve, got a maximum. It was obviously a 12-point maximum in those days, but he got one in his very first ever meeting, actually. His very first ever meeting of any type of speedway meeting, got a maximum. That's not bad going, is it?
Not bad.
Doyle has a rearranged Polish league meeting. I don't know how much these pairs meetings pay the riders as well. I mean, that's another.
Yep.
That's another thing. Brian Buck's got us a true or false.
I can see that. I'll do this for you if you like. True or false? Have the Brummies ever had 3 brothers riding in the team at the same time?
I think I know the answer.
Yeah.
Think I know the answer.
Okay, then.
Simon Corbett says true. Tollies.
Oh, apparently that's not
It's
right.
not the answer that I had.
No. It's not the it's not right.
No, Les Tully never rode for Birmingham.
Let me go back. Yep, no, Les Tully never rode for Birmingham, says Brian.
Oh, see, I was going to go with the Grahams, so I've been put on my ear for that because that's gone. Alan and Andy and John. Wow.
Did John ever ride for Birmingham?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not for many meetings, but he did some meetings for us. Okay, well, keep those answers coming.
Graham's gone for the Grahams.
Alan and Andy never rode together for Birmingham, did they?
Yes, they did. Alan and Andy did.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought Alan left before Andy started.
Yes, but they still rode in the same Birmingham team because Alan, I believe, guested.
Oh, right.
So there
Is
you
that
go.
right? Is that, well,
Yes,
well, I
yes,
suppose
it
guests
counts.
does count, doesn't it?
Of course,
So.
this is Speedway. Of course, it counts. Waffy, Lambert, Bewley, Harrison, Brennan, says Rich Thomas.
I'm not so sure about Harris.
No, after yesterday's meet. John Bird, I read the GP and elite riders that riding in Polish leagues are declaring that league team structure is dangerous, with young riders hitting riders and can't control bikes at high level. Racing in top league and second division example holder Koledzic and Becker all being hit.
I saw that today, yeah.
Becker's was a really nasty one.
I haven't seen those,
Yeah,
so I will have to.
Tough on Luke as well because he's had a obviously a tough season so far, especially with that injury.
Chris Harris was quite dreadful at Monmouth last night, scoring 1 point, and that was off his partner.
Yeah, but he guested for Kings Lynn on the opening day of on the opening night of the season. I think he got one in that making as well.
Right.
So Kings Lynn obviously didn't learn the lessons there.
Waffy, Lambert, Bewley, Wright and Brennan, says Craig
Charles
Smith.
Wright, yeah, Charles Wright's
Charles
a
Wright's not a
possibility.
bad
Yeah, he's having a
cook.
good season.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I think that would about do it for me.
I think four of them pick themselves, don't they? To be fair.
Dave Twine's going for the Graham brothers again, but we've already had the answer no about that one. So I'm gonna actually say that's never happened. That's
Rich Thomas says Eric Stendon got a maximum at Bradford riding for Swindon. That would be an 88, would it, I think, something like that.
possibly.
Sounds about right.
So it has happened. But I think Arthur Browning gets the prize for doing it in his first ever meeting.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yep.
Right, well, shall we move on to the Grand Prix? I'm just looking at the time and it's still 10 to 8, so we're okay.
Yeah, I'm going to put a battery in that.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Sure, yeah.
Put it the right way around this time.
Dreadful meeting.
Saved by a brilliant final. So
Finals.
unbelievable ride from Bartsmore.
Yeah.
He wanted to win that one, didn't he? Obviously, home track, although it's not obviously
His
home
ex-home track.
His home track, although it's his hometown, of course. Obviously, he's a Gorzoff man, born and bred. But that was a real. I think that was a real sort of shot across the bows across all the other riders, wasn't it? To say it's not going to happen this year. 3 Grand Prix wins. Arguably not really been at his best so far in a lot of these meetings. He's sort of done the minimum to get into the final. That's all he needs to do really at the moment though. So
that was pure schmarschlicker.
Yeah.
That final was.
He just bullied Madsen out of the way in the end, didn't they? So just pile the pressure on him, and in the end, I mean, Leon Madsen was probably his best performance of the season. To be fair, he hasn't had a great season so far, but certainly was a lot more on it.
Ty sort of muddled his way into a semi-final.
So 90 points for Barter Smarsley, Jack Alder 69, Fred Lindgren 68, Jason Doyle 68, Leon Madsen 60, Robert Lambert 54. That's the top 6 at the moment. So Bartos with a 21 point lead.
We're over halfway through now, aren't we?
Yeah, but that's the halfway point. There's 10 rounds. We've had 5 so far.
Right.
So another title I think looks more and more likely now for.
Injury's the only thing you would say that can.
I think so, and I think once again the spectre of the record that's currently held by Messrs Major and Rick Carlton again coming under a bit of scrutiny as well as to whether Smarslick might catch them. This will be fourth. The fourth.
Well,
title
I
in the,
think as far as the Ivan Major record is concerned,
Yeah.
you can't compare it. It's a different type of world championship. So,
well, at the end of the day, Major won his 6 championships in the format that was existed at the time, in the same way that Smarslick's doing it in the in
Bright-
and Rick Carlton as well, obviously. So
yeah, but I would say that format is much more
Yeah.
difficult to win. Multiple world
is the
titles.
format more difficult to win, or is the current field making it slightly? Because Major had to do it against people like Olsen, didn't he, and Briggs.
Briggs and
Rick Carlton had to do it against rods like Crump and Pedersen and Golub and Hancock. So and Smarslick, the problem
Smarslick
is
hasn't got Ragusa, hasn't got,
well, the one rider that probably would have pushed him is he's not allowed to race in the GPs at the
Yeah.
moment. So
yeah. So
yeah.
Jim Turrell says, I'm surprised Harris actually knows who he's contracted to ride for. He pops up everywhere apart from Ipswich.
We said this yesterday, actually, there, that if they got rid of the guest rule, Chris Harris would go bankrupt, wouldn't he?
For the World Team Cup, Dave Twine saying Woofy, Lambert, Bewley and Lawson. So there we go. So it's nearly 22, so I think we probably should be looking at the Nigel Pearson
Prediction League.
Yeah, or maybe you don't want to look at it.
Well, I don't know. I thought I had quite a good week last week. I had 3 greens, didn't I?
I think you were dreaming that. Yeah.
Maybe I was dreaming.
Let's have a look.
Still very close at the top.
So you are there.
I had 2
Right,
greens.
right. Oh yeah, and I'm still two above you.
Yeah.
Yep, 20 points above you.
Yeah, I think I've caught up on you, mate.
20 points. You're not going to make that up.
No, I have caught up on you, is what I'm saying.
Oh, right.
A little bit.
Nah, not much.
I'm
So,
going to have you.
at the
I'm
top
having you. I'm having you.
We've got John Bird, Andrew Garner, Graham Gambrell, and Simon Corbett is in 4th, chasing Pack.
Okay, I think that's changed about a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, he's certainly.
Simon had a bad start, didn't he, as well? But
did,
he's sort of coming back into the fold a little bit.
Definitely.
How dare he? Right, I guess we'd better.
Yeah, well, there's not actually that many meetings on there this week. We've got a lot of individuals, of course, which we don't generally do for the.
You better give me your pen. Thank you very much.
Can you be trusted not to mess about with it?
No.
Okay, so your first one is on Friday. That's in the National League, Edinburgh Academy against Berwick Bullets.
Edinburgh versus the Moolites. And this is up to you, Chris.
Oh, it's not really. You just thought.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Edinburgh by. I'm trying to look at your facial expressions. 8. Oh, got it wrong, haven't I?
Okay.
I'll say Edinburgh by 4.
Oh, we weren't far off then. I've disgraced myself.
I will say Berwick by 6.
Okay.
Okay, next up, also on Friday in the Championship, this will be an interesting one, Scunthorpe against Oxford.
Yeah, that's down to me. Okay, so Oxford are doing so well, aren't they?
They're in the box seat at the moment, although it's a long season. So.
That was a good win against Poole last week. I'm going to say, let's just do it. I'm going to go for a draw.
There's always one in there, isn't there? So,
Yeah, one of these days, I'm going to get one of these right.
yeah. Okay.
It's up to you.
Scunthorpe by 8, I've gone for.
Scunthorpe by 12.
That's a big call.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm a big boy now.
Yeah. Next up.
No comment.
Okay. Friday. Next up on Friday, we've got our first final of the season, the BSN Series final. That's Glasgow against Poole.
It's up to you, Matt.
Glasgow by 10.
Glasgow by 4.
See, I was going to say Glasgow by 4, but I'm trying to pick up points on you, so I can't do that. So I'll have to go in between Glasgow by 6.
Okay, next up is the return of the NDL meeting from Friday. That's Berwick against Edinburgh.
And up to you, Chris.
Berwick, Edinburgh.
Well, it's going to be one of them.
I was waiting for the reactions. I didn't get any. I had poker face. Edinburgh by 6. What do you mean? You was going to say that, weren't you?
Berwick by 10.
Berwick by 12. I've gone for. Okay. Okay. Right then, on Sunday we've got staying in the NDL. We've got Kent against Oxford.
That's up to me. I'm going to say Kent by 4.
I've gone Oxford by 4.
Oxford by 8.
Okay. All regards to God's farewell on Peter, so we wish him well, of course, in that for that one. Obviously,
couple of Bromwich riders in there now.
Yep, of course. So moving on to Monday in the Premiership, Bellevue against Wolves.
And that's up to you, Matt.
Would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of course it would.
I'll go for Bellevue by 10.
Yeah, not a happier hunting ground, so it really, is it?
We've not done too badly there in recent years. I'm still scarred by losing that super heat.
I'll go Bellevue by 12.
We should say, by the way, get well soon, Luke Becker.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm going to say Bellevue by 10.
Okay, and the final one, no, not the final one, the penultimate one, I should say, Sheffield against Peterborough.
That's up to me, isn't it?
That is, yeah.
Sheffield.
It was a bit of a coupon buster last week, wasn't it, with Leicester winning at Sheffield. I don't think anybody...
Oh, okay. Peterborough by 6.
Sheffield by 18.
Oh, God.
I've gone Sheffield by 16.
Oh, God. You gave nothing away at all, did you? Nothing at all. You really want to catch me up there.
Oh, yes.
And the final one, in the Championship, Plymouth against Berwick.
And this is me, isn't it?
I've ballsed it up here.
Well, first thing to say is good luck, James Pearson. And I'm going to say Plymouth by 6.
Plymouth by 4.
Plymouth by 10. Go for it. Go for it, Chris.
Okay.
There we go.
And that's it. So not that many meetings. Considering it's the height of the season, we're not seeing that many league fixtures.
Well, there's not many fixtures, full stop, is there? Certainly in the Championship.
Well, I was looking at Oxford's fixture list. You think in August, of course, you've got the peak of the summer, peak of the season. Obviously, you've got the kids on summer holidays, and at the moment, they've got one fixture. In October, in peak part of the season, that's...
I want an extra point. I got it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike Harris is correct this time. Birmingham did have 2 sets of brothers, Wally, Jack and Jeff Lloyd, and Alan, Andy and John Graham, but never tracked both brothers in the same match. Jim, Dick and Les Tolley did all ride in several matches together for Gradley, but only Dick and Jim rode for the Brummies. There we go.
So,
You don't get an extra point because it's not part of the prediction league.
No.
well, I thought we made the rules.
You just salvage a bit of pride, that's all.
I thought we made the rules up. It's like 6 points, to be honest. But Dave Tyne says I had one of his then because he's got a point still missing. So that's over to you.
Yeah, that is over to me. Yeah, that is another mistake on my part. Another one. So.
Tut.
And we've caught up with our comments on the chat box.
So, interesting situation, I think, in the Premiership now, where Leicester is doing so much better than anybody really expected. Can they continue with that, do you think?
They've got a compact little team, Leicester. Yeah, they've got some good riders in that side.
2 of them are Birmingham riders.
Yeah. they're doing well. I mean, I don't think anybody expected them to go to Sheffield and win.
No.
Yeah, I think they're obviously at Wolves. They're the only team I think in the top league that haven't been to Wolves yet. So I mean, that's going to be an interesting one when they come. I mean, should be a good atmosphere of that one as well, because Leicester will bring quite a lot over, because it is effectively a Midland derby, isn't it? So they are the closest.
When do they come over?
Not till end of next month, I don't think.
It'll be rained off then.
Quite possibly, yeah. Well, let's have a look at the league table as well.
That's a good idea. Excuse me while I stretch my legs.
Okay. Next other time, a cuppa.
Yeah.
That'd be nice of you.
Yeah, thanks. It'd be first, wouldn't it?
Okay, so at the moment in the top league, we've got Bellevue 27 from 15, Wolves 20 from 11, Leicester 20 from 11, Sheffield 13 from 10, Ipswich 13 from 12, Kings Lynn 7 from 12, and Peterborough 2 from 11.
There's something that's very glaring in that table, isn't there?
Two teams are very much worse than the other.
But not just that. I'm thinking of Ipswich, who was a lot of people's pick to win thing.
Yeah.
Mine included, I have to say. They've done it again, haven't they? They do this year
Top
after
heavy.
year.
Well, very, very top heavy. They've got a great top two, but they don't really have enough. Danny King hasn't had a brilliant
He's
season.
had a couple of good meetings though.
Well, he started getting a little bit better, but they're certainly going to need more from him. I mean, they're not out of it. Obviously, they've still got quite a bit to go, but it's certainly the top four places are going to come from those five. I don't think Kings Lynn or Peterborough are going to muscle their way in. So
Thanks, Pete. Pete says he'd like to thank my partner for picking up tyres last week and getting covered in stale water and dog sand. Very welcome to do it again tomorrow. I have a feeling that's probably going to be that was the one that I took to the. Oh, you didn't hear my monologue, so
yeah.
But
Okay, so let's have a look then at the championship. And as I say, we said earlier, Oxford running away with a good lead at the moment on 13 points from 6. Glasgow 9 from 4. Poole 9 from 5. Scunthorpe 7 from 7. Redcar 7 from 6. And Birmingham in the top 6 in a playoff space. When you consider they've only won 2 matches all season, 4 from 6. Edinburgh 2 from 5. Berwick 2 from 4. Plymouth 2 from 7.
now we've got a big thank you to say actually, but unfortunately we're not entirely sure who we've got to say it to. Pete Clark out there will know. So Pete, who did this Speedway Tavern placard for us, please? It's
Wonderfully made. Fantastic.
Beautiful.
Brilliant, yeah.
So yeah,
Don't use it for ironing on, for goodness sake.
no.
For cutting me loaf for bread.
That's going up in the studio in Proda Place, probably over that Birmingham City scarf over
That's
there.
not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah, I thought so.
So, so
Yeah, I mean, okay, let's just talk about that for a second. How the hell do Birmingham win one home match, and get up to 6th place?
admittedly,
Has nobody else done any?
Admittedly, there are only 9 teams in the league, but
Crazy.
Yeah, but it's still a playoff place, isn't it?
yeah, I think that 6th place is going to be up for grabs. I think Oxford are going to be there. I think Glasgow should be there. Poole, you never write Poole off. Scunthorpe, strong tide. Redcar, probably not doing as well as a lot of people expected to. I mean, they were, from a lot of people, including me, actually, were the favourites.
Mm-hmm.
But, you look at Birmingham, Edinburgh not having a great season, Berwick up and down, Plymouth not having a great season either. So that 6th place is very much up there for grabs for somebody to go and grab it, I think.
Could Birmingham do it?
Well, I think the changes certainly have made Birmingham stronger, definitely at home. As I said, they've certainly got to win home matches. They can't really be... I think the next 2 home matches, they'll be tough ones, but I think they'll be... Especially if there's more changes on the way, they'll certainly be much more competitive.
So we've got Poole and
Glasgow,
yeah.
I don't think they're going to be 36-54 defeats like the previous 2 weeks, but previous 2 meetings. But I think Birmingham will be more competitive, and they'll need to be, really.
You have to say that was a massive meeting, Oxford versus Poole.
Yeah.
And the result.
Oxford absolutely flattened them, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, don't think anybody saw that coming, did they?
Yeah. Well, they've been going well, haven't they, Oxford? But
Pete says it was made by a CNC operator he works with called Slav.
Well done, Slav.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to send him our thanks, Pete.
Okay. Yeah. And let's have a look at the National League as well then. So you've got Oxford on 13 from 8, you've got Mildenhall 13 from 8, Leicester 11 from 7, Workington 9 from 6, Bellevue 8 from 8, Kent 5 from 6, Edinburgh 4 from 6, and Berwick 2 from 8. So very close at the top of that league as well, between Oxford and Mildenhall. Mildenhall had a terrific start to the season,
haven't they?
So, but they've...
It feels weird to see Bellevue that low.
Yeah,
would never have.
Well, you look at the fixtures so far. That's actually quite even at the moment. You've got 8 matches. Some teams have done 8, some have done 7, some have done 6. So it's fairly level in terms of fixtures.
Spread.
It's not it's not one of these leagues where you've got one team's ridden 12 matches, another one's ridden 2, and it just looks absolutely stupid. But no, again, the National League's looking like it's going to be a competitive league as well. I mean, it's obviously great for Oxford, top of the 2 leagues.
2 leagues, yeah.
Leicester obviously have got a great record in that league as well in recent seasons. I think it's big for Leicester as well that they've still got National League racing to look forward to on a Saturday because of the decision to. Well, it's obviously enforced with having to move to Thursdays with moving into the top league. So
yeah, I mean 3 close leagues really.
Yeah, difficult to call a winner on all 3 of them at the moment, isn't it? So
I mean, Bellevue would seem to be favourites in the top league, but perhaps they've been slowing down just a little bit of late. I mean, Leicester's just surprised everybody.
I'm not that surprised about Leicester, to be fair, because I looked at their team at the start of the season and it was quite a good, solid, compact side.
Are they the surprise team of all the leagues, would you say?
Possibly.
Quite possible, I think, yeah. So.
Yeah. Who would run a close second?
Birmingham in top 6.
Birmingham in the top 6
at the moment, probably. Yeah. So.
And that's something we could finish talking about is what Simon Corbett is alluding to. I know it's early, but it's got to be 1 league next year. If you lose Peterborough, if you lose Wolverhampton, please. Noted both of those, but there is a possibility that you could lose Wolverhampton for a year. Who else is going? I mean, Birmingham's not exactly cut and dried at the moment.
I'm concerned for Kings Lynn, to be honest, particularly if they're going to be having performances like that.
So Kings Lynn's another one. Don't want to lose Kings Lynn. That's a great track.
Here's the thing. Do we think there are too many meetings in the season?
No,
I don't think there's enough.
Not
really,
enough, no. We've got 11 meetings if we don't make any. Would you? If you was Birmingham City had 11 meetings, would you be happy with it?
I'm just thinking if there were less meetings, I mean, surely the crowds would be better. Because, there's a bit more, builds up a bit of excitement to, the meeting.
I'll answer that point in a minute, Rich Thomas, to the best of my ability. But then you start finding other things to do.
That's going to be the problem. That's going to be the problem for Wolves if Wolves end up closing for a year, or if people are going to find other things to do on their Monday night, and then you get out of the habit of doing it.
I think it's what happened to Birmingham, really, wasn't it? Generations were lost.
Yeah.
So, okay, there's a couple of things being said here. So Brian has said 1 big league could only come about with a massive reduction in team strengths and costs. None of the existing championship clubs could possibly afford to move up, and I doubt whether any of the current Premiership clubs would risk moving down.
I think Paul probably could.
Yeah. The problem with that is that they might not have any choice.
It might be forced now, might it?
There might be no choice, and I don't think it'll be about one moving up or another moving down. I think it'll be about finding a middle ground.
Yeah, I mean, it was different. It was different last time it happened in the 90s, because there was a lot of clubs. I think we ended up with the 20-team league in 95 and 96, and unfortunately that was all done on the terms of the top league. I think the idea at the time was that they were going to share all of the top riders out, and then some of them decided not to, basically.
Dave Twine agrees with me. There you go. Less is more. I agree, Chris.
Yeah.
See, you you could have sort of like a super meeting.
I think 11 meetings is too much less.
Yeah, but why not have like a super meeting at one stadium?
I think Rich Thomas has said there, where are the riders going to come from for one league? Well, of course, the problem with having the doubling up is it's created a rider shortage.
Yeah, but if you're losing 4 teams,
Yeah.
that's a place where riders come from. It will, if it has to happen, they will find a way.
Yeah.
If it has to happen, it has to happen. And it's a case of making it happen by manipulating averages and so on, isn't it?
I mean, I've said right from the moment they decided to step down that Poole shouldn't be in the championship. Mm-hmm. And I can't believe that many of the Poole fans are too happy about it. I mean, you've got the chance to see riders like Lagusa, Doyle, and Seifert, and often they're riding in the second division, paying similar admission fees to what the top flight clubs pay as well. So,
right.
And Poole is a club that have been used to being dominant in the top league for the best part of 10, 15 years. Should they really be riding in the second tier? I guess. I suppose the reasons were that they were riding in a league that was affordable, and I don't think they were happy about losing Wednesday nights. But no, it's never really made sense to me, and I get the impression. Certainly, I get the impression from listening to people like Neil Middleditch talk that he didn't necessarily agree with the decision, and that he would rather they were still racing in the top league. Glasgow possibly as well, although I suppose the argument you can make against Glasgow would be the distance to their nearest track, which would be Bellevue. So,
yeah, I mean that is. But if it becomes one league, if you've got 6 teams in the top league, and it could be less than 6 teams, and you've only got 7 teams, and it could be less than 7 in the championship. Have you got any choice but to make it one league?
Yeah, so what, a league of like 15, 16?
If you're lucky, yeah. The way it's going.
The only thing with having a big league, of course, is if you end up with a situation where you've got a lot of meaningless matches going on with teams that can't really do anything. They can't win the league. Mm-hmm. They're sort of stuck in mid-table.
Don't you have like a pay structure like you do in like football, where
Yeah, but it doesn't make it any more entertaining for the fans, which is what I think you're alluding to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's a case where the more meetings the higher up the league they've finished, the more funds that are available from the pot that there isn't.
But there isn't a pot.
I thought you were going to say something else. So when you started to say pot, I thought you were going to say something else.
There isn't a pot, and I don't.
This last 10 minutes has become the how can we improve Speedway section.
Well, we do that. We do that all the time, don't we?
Have Speedway teams ever amalgamated?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Cradley and Stoke didn't they, in '96?
Well, that wasn't
only for 1 year.
That wasn't.
It didn't work.
The Stoke Heathens, was there?
No, Cradley and Stoke Heathens, weren't they? For '96 when Cradley lost Dudley Wood and they went up to Stoke for a year.
Right.
And it just didn't work.
I think that's got to be a way forward. Let's keep it alive.
We are in that sort of territory.
Well,
we need super clubs and super meetings.
Is there a possibility of in one day in the future, Wolves, Cradley, and Birmingham all sharing one Speedway venue?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I think that would depend very much on where that venue was.
Yeah,
where it's situated.
Yeah.
But I don't. I mean, it happens in football that there are ground shares, doesn't it?
Not as often, are they?
Not in this country so much, but in other countries that certainly happens.
Yeah.
Apparently, Wolverhampton and Cradley Heath merged in 1953.
Yeah, they did. Yes.
Wow. I can hear you turning in your grave, and you haven't even got there.
Yeah. Would you go down if Birmingham merged with Cradley?
No.
I was going to say, you're thinking about it as well. No, you wouldn't.
If they changed the colours to green and white?
No.
Green and yellow?
It's not my team.
Yeah. Red and green?
I would probably go and support Wolverhampton rather than do that.
Oh, crikey, there we go.
Yeah, I mean, I will never be lost to Speedway again, but when my club, when Birmingham closed in 1986, I didn't go and support another team because there wasn't my team.
Yeah.
I went and looked at Coventry a couple of times, but I always supported the away team. But anyway.
And it's 9 o'clock.
Well, a lovely show again, B9, a good place for the Brummies, Michael. Okay. That's a Birmingham City illusion in case you hadn't. Okay.
Yes, I did know.
Okay.
I did know, yeah.
Prefer B6 myself, but
So do I.
okay. There you go. There you go. Well, thank you once again, everybody, for joining in. We will see you next week.
Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern.